Hello, and welcome to another quick episode of Tim the Tech Guy. Today on the bench, we have a PowerMac G4 Graphite. This is a recent acquisition. I wanted to make a quick video of it to sort of show it off a little bit. This is a fine Facebook Marketplace find locally. It was fairly inexpensive. Recently, I realized that I don't own a G4. I do. Actually, that's not entirely true. I own two G4s, but I do not own a PowerMac G4. Having talked to some friends online, Discord, etc., I sort of decided I should look for one. I think they're kind of cool. I have an interesting history with this machine when they were new, and I said, why not? Like everybody who looks around on Facebook Marketplace, I decided to see what was out there, and I found something within my price range and local-ish. And by local, I mean within about an hour or so of where I live. So I was pretty satisfied with that. So this little video here will just be a little quick introduction to this machine and all of the accessories that it has inside of it. It turns out to be a slightly upgraded PowerMac G4. We'll take a quick look at the inside and exactly what upgrades it has and possibly what the future plans of this machine will be. To start off, this is a early 2000 Power Macintosh G4 450. At least it was originally. We'll get to that in a little bit later here. This is in very good shape. It is graphite. This is one of the first generations of the PowerMac G4. It is considered what they call a sawtooth machine. This particular flavor of machine would have had a 450 megahertz PowerPC G4 processor in it. It would have had a choice of either a DVD-ROM drive or a DVD-RAM drive. It has the optional Zip 100 drive, internal Zip 100 drive, and I believe this machine came with 128 megabytes of RAM standard. This machine in particular has 4 RAM sockets. If you're running OS X on this machine, you can run up to 2 gigabytes of RAM. It takes PC100 memory. It can hold 4 512 meg sticks on the motherboard. This particular machine here also has a built-in modem and a SCSI card. So like I said, we'll open this up here in a minute. We'll do an overhead view and just kind of show you the chassis. One of the things that I love about these machines, and the G3, the PowerMac G3, which was this machine's predecessor, which was the blue version of this machine essentially, is that they have this neat little door right here. And you can pull this thing open and you can reveal all of the insides to the machine. It's quite cool. I really wish Apple products today were quite this serviceable, but they have moved on to nothing near this. This, of course, was the highest end Macintosh machine that you could purchase from this era, this being the step above the iMac. And I am not entirely sure of the start and end dates, but this was very close to the PowerMac G3 in terms of age. I believe they made the G3s up until at least 99, and I believe this machine was introduced in 99. So comparing this even in its stock form to a PowerMac G3, it's a considerable speed increase. This machine, as you can tell here, it is very well laid out. You have the processor right here. You have a video card and you have a SCSI card. This is not an Apple factory SCSI card, but it is an Apple compatible SCSI card. It's an Adaptec card. And then you have all your RAM right here, which is very easy to get. I will pull this around a little bit here. Of course, I have it plugged up because why not? In here, you have your hard drive bays. This will hold 2 officially, but it kind of also looks like it has a 3rd. I'm not familiar enough with these machines to know exactly how many drives. It is all ATA drives internally. This one still has its original IBM 20 gig DeskStar, as we all know is the Hitachi DeskStar later. IBM was actually the original branding on DeskStar hard drives that we have come to hate so much. Hitachi bought them out, and so the IBM Desk Star line became the Hitachi Desk Star line. Here we have the optical drive, and there's a smaller bay underneath here that has the zip drive. Yes, the zip drive. We have a basic power supply here. It appears to be an ATX power supply. I am not sure if these actually are, but it certainly has the form factor and the power connector that looks like an ATX power supply. The machine is in very good shape. It works. We did test it when I got it home. It boots into OS 10. It boots into 10.3.9 Panther. The original hard drive passes all of its tests, which I was very thankful for. And some of the surprises of this machine were mostly in the CPU upgrade. As I was saying earlier, this machine originally would have been a 450 megahertz PowerPC G4. However, this machine is not anymore. This has the Otherworld Computing G4 Extreme upgrade. This particular model is a Series 2, Generation 2 upgrade, and this is the 1.2 gigahertz upgrade. It's not the fastest that they made. I believe that officially the 100 megahertz bus machines like this would go to 1.6 gigahertz, but I believe the fastest test speed that Otherworld Computing released for this was about 1.4. Still, that is an incredible improvement over 450 megahertz. I think anyone would agree with that. And once we get some more memory in this computer and possibly a faster hard drive and obviously something with a little more capacity, this will make a very nice vintage machine. The nice thing about this computer is that this has a good combination between old and new. And by that I mean this machine will easily run OS 10.4 Tiger. And this machine also has a zip drive, which is nice if you have, if you are like me, I'm looking around for one right now, but I don't see one within reach. If you are a hoarder of zip drives like I am, I have probably 4 or 5 at least zip 100 drives. So this is a great, and I have one sitting right here, so I can pull out a disk at least here. These are great to have around if you have a bunch of old Macs, like this entire room. Here is nothing. It's just full of old crap. Zip 100s are great. It's a great size, easy media to go between machines. It's always nice when they're built in because then you don't have to have extra cables. One of the issues with newer machines, I have a couple of iMac G3 graphites, and they're nice machines too, but one of the problems is media. So you can't put SCSI on an iMac. You can actually. Technically, if you have a DVSE or any iMac G3 with a FireWire port, they did make a FireWire-based SCSI adapter. However, they're incredibly expensive, completely cost prohibitive to actually try to get one, $300 plus sometimes on these machines. So having a machine like this, where it's a modern machine, it'll run the newer versions of OS 10. I say newer, but by that I mean Tiger. But this has an Adaptec SCSI card in it. Which means you can hook a Jazz drive up to this machine, and it has a built-in zip drive. But even if it didn't have a built-in zip drive, you could connect an external SCSI zip drive. So this is a nice combination. You have SCSI for your legacy peripherals on this machine, but it is also new enough to run Mac OS 10. So, you know, I think that's a good middle ground. It's also really fast. Like, this thing screams as far as old G4s go. At the house, I do have an iMac G4 800, and I thought that was a fairly fast computer until I sort of started playing with this one. This machine's speed limitation is the memory. This machine in particular has 256 megabytes of RAM. It goes to the swap file on the hard drive pretty frequently with that, even with Panther. So the goal on this machine is to get it to at least 1 gigabyte and to get maybe a 60 gig or an 80 gig hard drive in here. I have a few Seagate ATA drives at the house that would work very nicely in this. Could also go and put a second drive in here. That wouldn't be out of the question either. But I think this will be a good all-around vintage Mac machine that will run OS 10.4. Here in a moment I will switch over to the overhead cam. We'll get a closer look of the inside here. But you'll see this machine some more in either some future videos or maybe a live stream or so. I was very excited to find this machine. It's funny when you search for things. Sometimes when you're really not looking for something, you find the coolest stuff out there. And this certainly qualifies for that, I believe. The case is in very good shape. I have done some very mild cleaning on the case, and it has cleaned up very well. It was obviously not in a harsh environment. The person that I bought the machine from wanted to make it into a sleeper type gamer PC machine, but there's just a little bit too much hardware differences in here for him to have to modify it. And I'm glad he didn't, because it really is a pretty example of this era machine. This machine, it has an ATI Rage 128 Pro video card in it. So it's a DVI and a VGA card. It has 16 megabytes of RAM. It's AGP, 2X AGP on the motherboard. We might be looking at some video card upgrade options for this in the future. And one of the options that it does have on it, which we really can't see very easily here, is the CD drive, which I can open up, and you can sort of see it, but probably not very well, because recording is hard still. I'm very new to this. But this has a DVD RAM drive, and it has an Apple DVD RAM drive in it. And for those who don't know what a DVD RAM drive is, the capacity on them is usually 4.7 gigs. Some are more. I believe this is a 4.7 gig RAM drive. The RAM drive in this is basically a glorified DVD rewritable unit, and it takes a cartridge. If anyone's ever seen an old CD Caddy load CD-ROM drive cartridge, it's very similar to that. It has the media inside of an enclosed cartridge. When you hit the eject button on this, which actually I can do, I do have a power cord right here, so we can do that really quickly here. So we'll just power it on for just a moment. So yeah, it has a little sort of half stumpy little thing that comes out here. And I'll go on and turn that off because we really don't need it on. Maybe we'll turn it off. Maybe we won't turn it off. Nope, it's going to boot up. Oh well, it'll sit here and boot up, that's fine. But there's a cartridge that goes in here. These little fingers sort of grab it. And there's also a smaller slot where you can put a regular CD-ROM drive, CD-ROM into this. So it's a two-way street. What makes these unique is they are, as the name suggests, they are DVD RAM drives, which means they can actually read and write data live. There's no session to them. So if you have a CDR or a DVD-R or some sort of rewritable media, you have to put your files on that disk, and then you have to burn the disk, right? So once you burn it, it finalizes it and puts everything on the disk, and then it's read-only. Even on a CDRW or a DVD-RW, when you do that, you still have a writing process. So you put everything on the disk where you want it, and then you still finalize it. Now, with a rewritable disk, you can obviously erase it and start over. But with a RAM drive, it puts it on there live. So like if I copy a 100 meg file over to this DVD RAM that's in here, it will copy it directly to the media and write it directly. So it's sort of a combination between like a DVD-R drive and like a Magneto type drive. They weren't very popular for very long. They were expensive. And there were other medias that sort of surpassed them as time went on. But I always thought they were kind of cool. It was late 90s through maybe 2003 or 4 when that was the sort of the flash in the pan for the DVD RAM drives before high capacity DVD storage became more accessible, because they did make DVD RAM discs that did not have the whole complicated cartridge thing. And then also we had other medias that sort of came, the USB flash drive, external hard drives, etc., things that you could connect to the FireWire port. So the whole RAM kind of went out of favor. But I think it's cool, and I will get a few RAM cartridges to sort of try out in this. And we'll go on and turn that off. And then we will go to the above camera scene here, and I'll show you around the some of the parts of the motherboard here, etc. So here we are from the top view camera view of this machine. And from up here we have a better view of the layout of the motherboard. We have our memory right here, and pardon the frame rate, it is terrible. We have our CPU upgrade right here. This little guy right here is part of our modem setup here. That's the actual port on the back. This is our video card here, 2X AGP. It is an ATI Rage 128 Pro, and this is I believe it's a 2900 series PCI Adaptec SCSI card. This is just a standard PCI card, and this card is the Mac version, so it has the Mac BIOS on it. It has a 50-pin SCSI card. I believe it's a SCSI 2, or possibly a fast SCSI. But it has the internal header for any kind of internal drive, 50-pin traditional standard SCSI connector, and on the back it has an HD50 50-pin high-density connector for something like an iOmega Jazz drive would have that connector on the back. So this will be a wonderful card to plug a Jazz drive. I have a few Jazz drives. They're 1 gig cartridge versions. They did make a 2 gig, so it's very convenient for that. Here you can see this here is the ATA cable, and your drive bays are inside here underneath the power supply and the fan assembly. As I mentioned earlier, it's a very easy machine to service. It is very expandable. I still have 2 more empty PCI slots, and these are the 64-bit PCI slots, so you can put the extra long cards in it. And we have, like I said, we have 4 RAM sockets here that we can populate with memory. I'll have to look into my piles of old memory to see what I have in here. I'm sure we can do better than 256. I would like to put 2 gigs in it. That would really make a fast machine. Also putting a little faster, more modern hard drive in it would help a lot too. We have thought about the idea of maybe putting some sort of solid state solution in this, and that may be a possibility down the road, but my experience with the G3 iMacs and the iMac G4 is 1 gig of memory for either Panther or Tiger goes pretty far, and the more memory that you give OS X, the less it really has to swap out. So even this machine with its original hard drive, even if we just took the memory here up to say 512 even, or a gig, that would help the performance of this, because the hard drive is very slow. So we want to prevent things from accessing the hard drive as much as we possibly can. We also, this machine has, this is a spot for an airport card, so it is airport ready. It has the antenna connector, everything there. I have 2 airport cards. We could put that in there, but it's not a very useful card. Since this machine is a 450, it is a sawtooth 450. It is a 100 megabit Ethernet built-in Ethernet. So it's not a gigabit machine, which is plenty fast for this. If I were at home, this would be perfectly adequate because I only have 25 megabit internet coming into the house, so this thing is still fine. 100 megabit Ethernet is technically capable of 12.5 megabytes per second. So I mean, that's still a pretty good speed for internet function and network function for this. Although, since it does have PCI cards, it would be very easy to put an aftermarket 1 gig capable PCI Ethernet card in here. I don't know if I'll do that. I don't think it'll be much of an issue for me, so I probably won't do that. This thing also has an interesting little Firewire 400 header inside, which is neat. You don't ever see that. So this thing technically has 3 Firewire ports, 2 on the back panel and 1 on the inside of the machine. So hopefully I am working on a video capture solution for some of the vintage machines on the bench here. So as we upgrade this, I will do some smaller videos for it if we do the RAM upgrade or the video card upgrade or the hard drive upgrade. And hopefully when I can get my VGA in port finished on this machine, I'll be able to actually stream that as well. So I'll be able to stream what's coming out of the VGA port. I thought I had all the parts for that, but turns out I don't. I'm missing a VGA to HDMI converter part because I bought the wrong thing. I bought the backwards version. Thanks everybody for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully we have a lot more videos to come of different machines. As this shop museum area here progresses, I do hope to do a lot more machines either on the bench or on, there will be a display behind me, hopefully set up within the next month or so. So we'll actually be able to do some interesting shots of assembled computers. I have a PowerMac 6100 here behind the camera, so I would love to put that out there and kind of show it off a little bit. And like I said, when I get the VGA capture solution finalized here, it'll be a lot nicer to be able to not only talk about the computer, but to stream it, and you can actually see what's happening, especially if we're going to do like an OS install or something like that. It's pretty interesting. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video, and like I said, if you want to smash that like, as they say, down below here, or if you would like to subscribe to the channel and be notified of any future content as we add it, would be much appreciated. And thank you for watching. Goodbye.